Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's discussion. I hope you're all doing great. Have you ever tried to double a recipe, figure out how long a chip will take, or even divide a bag of snacks equally among friends? Believe it or not, all these situations involve ratios and proportions. In this video, we're going to break down these important math concepts step by step. We'll explore what ratios and proportions are, how to use them, and why they're so handy in real life. By the end of the session, you'll not only understand these ideas but also feel confident using them in your daily life. So, let's get started. Starting with the learning objectives, understand ratios. Learn what a ratio is and how to compare two quantities. And proportions, learn what a proportion is and how to check if two ratios are equal. Simplify ratios. Practice writing ratios in their simplest form. Understand when the things increase together, direct, or when one increases and the other decreases, inverse. Solve problems. Use ratios and proportions to solve everyday problems like recipes, maps, and speed. Use cross multiplication. Learn an easy method to solve proportions. See ratios in real life. Find examples of ratios and proportions in your. What is a ratio? A ratio is a way to compare two quantities. It shows how much of one thing there is compared to another. For example, if there are three apples and two oranges, the ratio of apples to oranges is written as 3 colon 2 or 3 over 2. 3 is to 2 means for every 3 apples there are 2 oranges. Ratios can also be simplified. For instance, if the ratio is 8 is to 12, we divide both numbers by their greatest common factor, which is 4. So 8 is to 12 simplifies to 2 is to 3. What is 10 is to 15 in simplest form? Divide both 5. The answer is 2 is to 3. Great! Now that you know what ratio is, and that they can also be simplified, let's move on to what a proportion is. A proportion shows that two ratios are equal. For example, if two pencils cost 4 pesos, then 4 pencils will cost 8 pesos. The ratios 2 is to 4 and 4 is to 8 are in proportion because they're equal when they're simplified. Across 2 times 8 equals 4 times 4. 2 times 8 equals 4 times 4. Since both equal 16, the ratios are in proportion. There is also different kinds of proportion. We have direct proportion and indirect proportion. Let's start with direct proportion. Direct proportion is when one quantity increases, the other increases too. For example, if one apple costs 2 pesos, 3 apples will cost 6 pesos. The ratio of apples to cost stays constant. 1 is to 2 equals 3 is to 6. For example, if the price of pencils is directly proportional to the number of pencils, 2 pencils over $4 equals 5 pencils over X dollars. Here we need to find X, the cost of 5 pencils. Let's cross multiply them. Multiply across 2 times X equals 5 times 4. This gives 2X equals 20. Divide both sides by 2, which is X equals 20 over 2 is 10. Answer: the cost of 5 pencils is 10 pesos. Let's move on to inverse proportion. In inverse proportion, when one quantity increases, the other quantity decreases, and vice versa. The product of the two quantities is constant. As one quantity grows, the other must shrink to keep the relationship balanced. Let's have a word problem to solve. If 4 workers can complete a task in 8 hours, how long will it take 8 workers to complete the same task? Before we start solving, let's allocate per the number of workers, initial time, new number of workers, and the time we need to find. X1 initial number of workers is equals to 4, Y1 initial time is equals to 8, X2 new number of workers is equals to 8, Y2 the time we need to find. After putting the numbers, you can start cross multiplying. 4 times 8 equals 8xy squared. This simplifies to 32 equals 8xy squared. To isolate y2, divide both sides of the equation by 8. y2 equals 32 over 8, y2 equals 4. Final answer. It will take 4 hours for 8 workers to complete the task. How to check your work in inverse proportion? The product of the two quantities must remain constant. For 4 workers in 8 hours, 4 times 8 is equals to 32. For 8 workers and 4 hours, 8 times 4 is equals to 30. The product is the same, so the solution is correct. Thank you, Humility, for joining today's discussion on ratio and proportion. Keep practicing, stay curious, and remember to stay humble as you learn. See you in the next lesson.